Growing up, it was me. I'm the oldest. My sister, she's the middle, and then I have a younger brother. My parents, I think I had to be 16 or 17 at this time. My parents said, hey, Driece, we're going to go out of town for the weekend. Y'all will be okay. And I'm like, all right, cool, got this. Because they just up the street. They leave on that Friday, and I have a bright idea. I'm going to have a party in the base. Call my friends. My sister and my brother are in the house. I call my friends, all kind of people coming up in the house Friday night. And then all of a sudden, guess who walked up in the house?
I hope it was a cousin. I hope it wasn't your parents.
It was my parents.
Oh no. Oh no.
They missed a flight.
Oh no.
So my mom walks in the house and she started like yelling, just like black mamas do.
Yes.
So everybody ran out, including me.
Where are you gonna go? Driece, where are you gonna go?
No, that wasn't important at that time. Right. So I actually ended up staying over my girlfriend's house for a couple of days, but eventually I had to go home. And I just remember my mom was truly disciplinarian, like when it came to stuff. And my dad, his face and disappointment would like just hurt.
Yeah.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready? Nope. For a long journey where our podcast released a new epi, searching for a fade fiend, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talk your way to I
Welcome in, everyone. Episode 158. It seems like I know you. With our guest, Audricia McKinney. We talking to Driece. We gonna get into this. Driece, if you couldn't tell from the title, it seems like I know you. Like the circles, we gonna start right there. Okay. Where are you from? I gotta know. Where are you from?
Well, so I am a military brat. The majority of my life was spent in Northern Virginia. So I went to all through elementary school, middle school, high school, went to college in Norfolk State. And so now, and behold, I'm actually speaking at a ball on Saturday for them. But my parent, my dad is from East St. Louis, Illinois. My mom is from Columbus, Georgia. They met in the military. And so, you know how that is. You move around for 20 years. My dad retired and we really just rooted in Virginia. And so, I've been here from elementary school, throughout college, and I've been really blessed to be able to get another assignment, my last assignment, if you will, here at the Pentagon. So I'm back in Virginia in my old stumping grounds in Ashburn, Virginia, Loudoun County,
Okay, wait. So I'm a military brat. Okay. So we got that in common.
Okay.
I'm from Virginia, so we got that in common.
Okay.
I'm from Columbus. I used to live in Columbus. You know why? Because Papa was stationed at Fort Benning. Hold on. And then you said Norfolk State. I used to live in Norfolk. A couple of high schools down there.
Okay.
I didn't go to Norfolk State or anyone to see. Were they MEAC?
Yes. At the time, they're MEAC, but now they're CIAA.
Okay.
CIAA while I was there. I actually remember because we had to change up the housing, there were schools with them. So Division I. Yeah. So it was MEAC and then now we're CIAA. So
that's why. Well, then that feeling did not betray me. There's too much there. I knew there was some kinship in there somewhere.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
I feel better now because I was for a while there. I was like, man, I wonder if I knew her. Was you guys? That's great. That's great.
This. I mean, you're new. You got the crimson and cream. I love the crimson and cream too.
All right. Yeah. Well, I didn't. I'm surprised. I don't know if you maybe saw my brick in the back. I know I got the cane back there somewhere.
You got Kappa on your shirt.
Yeah, I am rocking the Kappa shirt.
I saw the brick, but then I noticed the crimson and cream too.
Yeah, I did.
I was like, okay, ooh,
I did. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, you know what? This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one. Shout out 1913.
1913.
I just had some deltas on the radio show.
Okay.
So this episode 158. Go back to 155. It's the Austin alumni chapter.
I was in that chapter.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you
for a hot minute.
No, thank you for staying financial and being participatory because I started that radio show by thanking those ladies.
Yeah.
I also dropped y'all's motto, and they was like, oh, because they didn't know I was Divine Nine.
Know about that.
But I'm just saying, what we were working on, they were working on Community Impact Day, and intelligence is the torch of wisdom. And I dropped that, and they was like,
okay. Okay.
I was like, yo,
okay.
I take y'all serious.
Go ahead, dude.
But it was amazing to be with them, because I'm a youth sports coach here in the Austin area. Just got off the fields and dived in here to come to meet with you. And we need more of us out here still offering. And I know a lot of people don't know anything about the Divine Nine. Some of our listeners might not know, but I'll never say any Divine Nine is better than the other, any frat, any sorority is better than any of the other Greek organizations.
Yes.
But there's something about the Divine Nine and our lifelong commitment.
Yeah.
That is what I stand behind, that 12 days out of the week. I love that.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. I mean, yes, we have like a friendly competition, but at the end of the day, our goals they're the same. We want to give back to the community. It might look different in some areas. We might wear different color, but at the same time, we're all literally marching in the same direction. And I'll tell you, for me, believe it or not, I'm an introvert. I spend a lot of time alone. That's just how I know. Everybody looks at me like that.
Yeah.
I play the flute, do yoga, work out. It's read, shopping. That is very comforting for me. But I do go out, right? So when I went to college and I saw the Deltas was on the yard, I was like, oh no, I don't need to do that. That's for conformists and people who need to be part of a group. That's not for me.
I said the same thing.
Stand alone. And so I actually ended up meeting this woman. Her name was Joyce, and she was in the military at the time. I was still in college, and she took me under her wings. And she happened to be a Delta. And I start seeing how she was giving back and interacting with the sorors, how like whatever duty station she went to, there were Deltas. There were Deltas in Korea. There was Deltas in Egypt, Deltas in Afghanistan, like wherever I went. And I saw that camaraderie and that sisterhood. And I was literally blown away. And I was like, I want to be part of that, and only that. And that was my decision. If it wasn't Delta, it wasn't going to be anything. And she sponsored me, and I haven't regretted my decision. We celebrated 22 years last week. I celebrated 20 years as a Delta last week. And I'm grateful for every moment, extraordinarily proud of my organization and the great women that represent it, whether they're pushing legislation, health issues, or international issues. I am very proud of them and glad that I can be a part of something so big.
You gave me so much there, but this one is the most pressing. When did you go to advanced camp?
Ooh, what you know about advanced camp?
Well, because I was there.
So I got to go back. After 22 years in the military, you push some stuff out to make room. So I graduated in 2002. So as a junior, I would have went to advanced camp in
2001.
Maybe, it would have been 2001 because it was 9/11. And I remember all our stuff got messed up because of the 9/11 attack on the Pentagon and the World Trade Center. So I went in 2001. I think I was like 7th Regiment or something.
Okay. Right. So I went in 2000 and I was 10th Reg, because I was about to say, man, maybe that's where I ran into you at. But no, okay, all right.
Well, we probably, we could have still overlapped, because what school did you go to?
Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
Yeah, we still could have overlapped, because you know how they had, like, were you in Ranger Challenge?
I was.
Yeah, so I was in Ranger Challenge too. So
that red and white, man. We talk over there. Right. I just want people to know.
You know how they had those regional training exercises too?
Yep.
I mean, we could have easily just crossed passes. I mean, I'm about 30 pounds heavier than I was.
I told you off air, I ain't getting my workout in today yet either. So
did you ever go after duty though?
I did.
Okay. All right.
I was a summer grad. I ain't even gotta lie. I ain't gotta feel bad. I was a summer grad. Your boy wasn't that focused. And I commissioned August 19th, and then 9/11 happened. I was a lieutenant walking through the student center, and I saw I was in my class B's that day, and I saw everyone huddled around a flat screen TV. That thing was big. You know how it was back in 2000.
Big in the back, right? Wide and big in the back.
Yes, but at least the front was flat, which that was the win, right? To be able to say
right.
It didn't have the concave. So everyone's huddled around like, well, what's going on? So I kind of worked my way to the front, and I see at that time one was already burning, and I was there long enough to see the second one hit, and then it just seemed like everyone just automatically on the second one turned and looked at me.
Were you?
I'm like, y'all know I'm a second lieutenant, y'all. Ain't nothing I can do. But I'm heading to ROTC right now. I'll go talk to the colonel. Yeah. We'll see what he want to do, but I can't do nothing right now.
I remember that day too. It was one of the days, drill day, if it's Tuesdays or Thursday or whatever day. I was putting on my uniform, headed to class, and I remember seeing it on the news, right? And I was like, oh, that dumb pilot, and on my uniform, and I just kept it going. I usually talk to my parents every day. I remember, I called my mom. I couldn't get in contact with her, because my parents lived in Northern Virginia at the time, right? And then, I start seeing glimpses of the news, how it attacked the Pentagon. And I remember going to class, and my PMS was Lieutenant Colonel Antoine Cheatham, right? And when you walk through the halls of Norfolk State, like when you walk through the halls of the Norfolk State Army ROTC building, as you're walking to the class, the first thing you see a memorial of all the former NSU cadets who passed away in Vietnam, And so that day I vividly remember that, walking to class, because I didn't clearly grasp what was happening.
Yeah.
And so we sit down in class, and I remember Colonel Cheatham was like, I know everybody heard the news. And he said, I'm telling you guys right now, every single one of y'all is going to probably go to war to support this, And he, had actually went to Desert Storm. But he said, this is, he pretty much said that everyone in this room is probably, you need to just get that in your head right now. And that was actually during a time where in the ROTC program, everybody was active duty. And so that year, everybody either became chemical corps or engineer. I was chemical. I started out as chemical initially.
Oh, so then I can go ahead and I can start with these you ain't that smart jokes. Save them for later. I'll save them.
Hey, it don't matter now or later. It's okay. I have my flak vest on.
Yep. Hey, I'm gonna tell you this though. Of the people that I met that were chemical corps, I never met a chemical officer that complained. I mean, they didn't I met plenty of infantry people that switched, came over because I branched ordnance, my first choice. Okay. And I know plenty of people that come over, they go to finance and they're like, oh, we used to rup too much or we used to do too much. But I've never met a chemical officer that later was like, man, that sucked. I don't know if you just embraced the suck or maybe they just didn't want to put it out. But I was green to gold. Okay. And I remember when I was enlisted, one time I was on staff duty up at battalion, and there was a lieutenant who was a chemical officer, and we used to play chess all during our shift.
Okay.
And he represented it right. He was, he was young in the job, but I would have picked chemical because he was chemical and he was a cool dude. I would have picked it. But it's always nice to make jokes about chemical.
Well, I was branch detail chemical from quartermaster. So I was only chemical for about a year or so. And then I transitioned over to quartermaster. And then after I came back from my first deployment, I transitioned to public affairs. But I would say definitely chemical. I'm going to tell you, I've been to a lot of training, but that course is not for the weak-hearted. That was a hard course, because there was a lot of biology, math, science. Yes.
What? Oh,
let me tell you, you would be surprised. So, trying to calculate, how far the chemicals travel from ground zero.
No. I'm so glad I went to ordnance. I struggle at ordnance.
Right, yeah. But it was a great experience. And I'll tell you, a lot of those chemical officers are sea burning now. They call it sea burn, not chemical. I mean, they go on to do great things,
Yeah.
It's probably one of those less visible branches, but very talented individuals do definitely go into that branch.
Yeah. And you know what? You just gave me even more respect. I mean, just like we were talking about fraternity sororities, it's stupid to say what branch is better than the other. It's stupid. It's fun. We do it. Look, for those listeners who don't know, who didn't service, y'all already got it. She's a veteran. I'm a veteran. It's sophomoric, but it's what we do. We're America's best. Y'all know we are. Yep. You should have served. If you didn't want us to get the big head, y'all should have served. You didn't, so now y'all got to deal with us. These are the people y'all let go represent y'all. But I will say, I have nothing but respect even more now because, well, hey, so here was the thing. I always heard the hardest was engineer, and a lot of people used to flunk out of engineer, and then they have to go to another.
I know a couple of friends that flunked out of field artillery.
No.
Yeah, just because, there's more math in that than what people, anticipate. So
I get it.
So absolutely. Those are rigorous courses for sure. Engineer. I actually had a couple of friends that were recycled, out of field artillery. I mean, it's, that's not for the weak-hearted either.
No. Good friend of mine, recycled from engineer, went finance.
Yeah. Oh, my peer, he was recycled from field artillery, went finance, which is crazy because finance was my first choice. I was a finance major.
Oh, and still didn't get it. I know.
But see, the thing is, after 9/11, so I don't know if you remember how the process worked. Usually you would go to advanced camp, right? And then by spring, you would get like your branch, right?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get our branches until like almost right as we graduated because of what happened with 9/11.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. So when we did get our branches, I would say the majority of the people in my class were either infantry, engineer, or chemical. We were all branch detailed. Everybody was branch detailed,
I don't want to be wrong, but I do remember something like that because I was a gold bar, like I said, during that time.
Recruiter too?
Yes, I was. That's what I was still doing on campus after I committed.
Me too.
And I thought, see, oh my God. Everybody else is like, all right, get a room. You guys will make me, y'all make me want to now. But hey, this is why I picked this is my podcast. I know who to get.
Yeah, they'll be all right.
I think I don't want to say the person, but was it proponency? I think that person was one of the ones who died in that Pentagon attack. I think, if I remember correctly, that's why it got delayed.
Well, actually, I work at the Pentagon, and my section is responsible for the tours. So every once in a while, I'm asked to join the tours.
I did the tour once.
Oh yeah. So on the tour, when you ask about it, the Army accessions area is the area that actually got hit. Not necessarily, even though people did die, but that office did get hit. So a lot of the records were gone.
Wow.
So that definitely did affect it. I
thought I had heard that.
Yeah, you were on the right, definitely on the right track with that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm telling you, when I took that tour, first of all, it was cool. I was geeking out. I'm a little bit of a history buff. I did not know I was going to get all that history.
Yeah.
I didn't know those hallways. Look, don't let me end up at the Pentagon again for anything that they need something from me, because I'm gonna be wandering the halls. Like, I want to read every little placard. I want to pull out my phone and see if I can Google and check and read more. Like, it was that part. I didn't expect that. That was amazing. Yeah. But to see what the impact was, and then all the fuel and the spreading, and the damage from 9/11, that was surreal. I aside from that bad part, because that really kind of took a toll on me. That was kind of hard to imagine, and the people that died, that was hard for me. But I enjoyed the tour. Aside from the downer part, loved it. That was so much fun.
Now there's actually quite a few people there that still work there today that were there doing a 9/11. And so I've had the pleasure of working with a few of them, and I'll listen to the story from reporters. I work with a lot of reporters, they'll tell the story, where everybody came together because all of the food area. One thing, as you've seen, there's a lot more food in store areas than what people probably expect, right?
I had a good lunch.
Exactly. And so a lot of those places shut down. So I remember this particular reporter, as she was kind of reliving the day when we were observing it, she was like, she said, everybody came together. She said, people start bringing potluck and placing it in the food court down at the Pentagon. She said, and she said it was so great to see everybody come together, even though you could smell the soot. We just kept going on. And then I had another girlfriend that I work with. She's retired now, but she's now in another position. And she was telling me how she was, she was a soldier, and they were like, she had to climb out windows, and she said she remember having a skirt on, and she just remembered a vision of everybody running and trying to get away. And some people, because the Pentagon is so solid, some people didn't even feel the impact, just the way it was built. And so I always, I appreciate those stories. And I'll definitely say working at the Pentagon, this is my second tour, has been an honor of a lifetime. And I feel very fortunate to kind of really understand how we work as the center of gravity for, defense of our nation. It's been a wonderful experience.
Man, it's so cool. Man, we really appreciate that you are serving. You sound like one of the good ones, though. You sound like one of the good Americans we need to be serving. You're definitely intelligent, and now it just makes you see. But like, how are you serving? You seem like cool. Like the stereotype is all y'all, first of all, got bald heads like G.I. Jane. All y'all could bench press. I'm talking to ladies. All y'all can bench press 225 probably about 10 times. You probably won 2 or 3 CrossFit competitions. You want me to stop now, or
I mean,
heard all this before.
I'm going to tell you, I probably attempted all those things, but I'll tell you, it really comes with maturity and authenticity. When you first join the military, and I'm talking about my own experience, is that it is a natural feeling to want to belong. And I remember from the time I was a second lieutenant, now I'm a colonel. There were times as I first entered, the Army, that I really wanted to be accepted and I wanted to assimilate. I wanted to belong and be part of the in group. And so I did things like I didn't wear braids. I never really talked about going to the HBCU or, being a black or a woman, because I didn't want to draw any attention. Yep. But as I became more mature in my rank, in my responsibilities as a leader, I realized that I was suppressing the things about me that made me Driece, Driece McKinney,
Yeah.
And once I started to embrace those things, maybe my hips a little wider than, maybe, maybe I do need to wear braids because it's hard to keep up, my natural hair or the perm in between deployments. Maybe I do need to, talk about my sorority because that's an outlet and I love to do it. It's part of my joy, And so once I started embracing those things that were unique about me, my career took off. It's really hard to explain, but I became more comfortable. I didn't feel as constrained. I felt more focused. I had more energy to commit to the things that really mattered. And I really just had to stop caring about what people think or whether or not my blackness or femininity, made people uncomfortable. Because yes, I was that chick with the fade and I didn't wear any makeup, and I mean, no, you don't have to wear makeup, but the point was that I was trying.
No, I'm just laughing. I'm just laughing.
I had it all shaved out, but the point was, you remember how back in the day the girls have a short coat and they'll take the gel and slick it all back.
Yes.
The point of this all is that I was trying to suppress the things, but whether it was my femininity, my blackness, my culture, and I was doing it, I wasn't doing it on purpose. It just, I don't think I knew better, right?
No, sometimes you feel like I'm gonna be a distraction because it's not just what you want to project, it's how it's received. And sometimes it becomes a distraction. You become the sideshow because now we commissioned a year apart. I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people did not. A lot of my peers, a lot of our peers, they didn't know nobody during undergrad that was Divine 9. So now you get all the questions and they want to know. Right. They want to say, "Hey, so can you step?" And then like, "How long you guys practice that?" And then show me how you twirl your cane again. And that's so cool. And then that sometimes you're like, "Okay, yeah, got it." But we doing this all the time now. It's always this. Yeah. I also want to just ask you about one other thing. There was a point. It wasn't until I was a captain, but I ended up at Fort Bragg. When I got to Fort Bragg, I was part of Fayetteville alumni in my chapter. Shout out to them Fayetteville Nukes. But when we used to do a Divine 9 lunch, I can't remember. Let's just say it was every second Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
I remember when I first got there and they told me about that, and I walked into that chow hall. You thought I was out of HBCU. I was like, did we run everybody out? The Omega's got a table. Delta's got a table. I see them Noops over there, probably the prettiest table in there. But and then we had the Sigmas. She said, well, hold on now. See, that's what we do. But that was so much fun. Now, after that, to include right now, I've worked at 5 different institutions of higher learning in ROTC. And every school I went to, I carried that. I would bring all the other staff and faculty from around campus and say, yo, let's meet up every second Wednesday or whatever. Let's meet. Because the young bucks need to see that. And that are in our fraternity sorority. And then the other students need to see that. And I've done that every step I've gone to. And people are like, yo, that's cool. And I was like, yo, that's an Army thing. That's how we do. That's how the military Divine 9 do. And I think that was something that I learned that I'm glad I embraced it and participated then, because I've just been passing that along ever since. And I've done that at 5 different institutions.
That's wonderful.
To include an HBCU. When I got to Virginia State,
wonderful.
No one was doing that. So
you do, because there's a certain point, and I took it for granted that I did not realize that people were watching me. And to see what I did, I didn't realize that until I believe I was a major. And and this is so random because the military is so small. It is so small, right? And I remember I had to go to the post office during lunch on Fort Meade. I was an instructor. I taught public affairs, and I run to the post office, and I'm standing in line, and all of a sudden someone taps me on the shoulder. They were like, "Oh, Lieutenant." They called me Lieutenant. They were in civilian clothes, and I was like, "Yeah, that was my maiden name." And they were like, "Is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "How are you?" She said, "You might not remember me, but you were my platoon leader, and you helped me get an assignment that saved my marriage." And I was like, I am so happy to hear everything worked out. But for me, I didn't even think. After I did it, I was just doing my job. I didn't really think about the impact. And so it really fills your heart up, and you start realizing that, your responsibility, to others is bigger than just yourself. And so whenever I had the opportunity to make a change or make an impact, I took it. I know you read my bio. I worked for the Secretary of the Army, right? Ryan McCarthy. I was his communication advisor. And one of the things he would comment is like, he liked that I had a different perspective on things. So even if, we've talked about things, we've removed photos from promotion boards, we've done a lot of things. I've advocated for the things that I felt that were artificial barriers to good leaders like myself, because if people judged me the way that I understood I would be judged, I would never be here. I actually remember a 06 when I was a first lieutenant. He says to me, he said, "Oh, those fraternities and sororities are like cults." Or he said those. And so in my head, I was like, now I got to keep it, on the low that, I'm in a Delta, because I don't want him to use that against me,
I get that.
Or even with HBCUs, sometimes there was a stigma that the best officers didn't come from HBCU. So, but, as I've gotten older, I realized that, intelligence looks like a lot of different things, and I'm willing to bring and present and add value based on the things that make me different. And I've really focused on that a lot, and I'm very happy I did. I've had a sense of purpose. I've been excited. Leaders have constantly requested me to come work, because they know they're going to get the real, not just the emperor doesn't have any clothes narrative. And even as I transition, I'm retiring next year. I feel good about that too. So
wait. Where's although this is not a good time for Diddy. What about now? It's all messed up now. What are we gonna do now? What? Hold on now. You got a good one waiting in the wings, right? You got some proteges, you got some young bucks lined up.
I absolutely do. And the advice I give everyone is because the military is I think it sounds like you got out. When did you get out? Your 4 years?
No, I honorably served for 28 years and retired in 2023.
Oh, well, congratulations on your retirement, brother.
It's a good feeling.
So that feeling where people. So I even, I'm not going to say this, but there were opportunities that were afforded to me that I declined. And I had people guilt me and like, why are you doing that? That's a good opportunity. And I was kind of like, here's the thing. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. I said, I love the military. I said, but there's more. I said, I love to serve, and there's so many ways that I can serve in. But I said, my heart and my passion is telling me that I've come to an end of this chapter. And so I want to exit gracefully, and I don't want to be one of them people that be holding on. They're like, they need to retire.
It's, what, it's funny. I finished up in the National Guard, and I'd probably still be serving. The body hasn't necessarily failed me yet. This right knee is on its last, but it's looking bad. But what came to the point, I always said, once you're a dinosaur, if you're always the person, so well, back in my day, if you're always that person, it's time for you to go. That's what I always thought. But I was having fun. I still could have the young bucks around me, E1s, E2s, E3s, and it looks like they were really interested in talking with me. It just came to a point where I don't know if you've ever been in reserve forces, but my wife actually said, "Yo, it's time, man," because what is happening is I started to have a weekend when it was time for me to do my weekend duty. Mm-hmm. It was getting painful because I didn't want to. I just told you my oldest had a double header soccer game today. I don't know why they got kids playing back-to-back soccer games, but anyway, I really desperately want to be there. And so missing out on that was actually painful for me. And so she's like, yo, it's time to go. Look, you already got your 20-year letter years ago. You good, brother. You've done a great job. It's time for you to go ahead and call it quit.
Now, from parent to parent. So, I have a 12-year-old. I am divorced. Now, I've been divorced for a couple of years.
That's their loss. You seem awesome. No, I'm sorry. We'll bash on. We'll do that another episode. We'll bash on another episode.
Thank you. And so I had a very high-paced career, and so now things have slowed down. And I'm able to do things like drive my son to school in the morning, and cook him snacks and dessert. And it's crazy because I would not have thought I would find so much joy in those things. And I really am. And that alone is really confirming my decision to transition, just so I can kind of have a more of a front seat of watching him turn into a young man,
It's funny you say that now that you're at the end. I was a GS civilian a few times. And when I worked with the old heads that were, the old retired sergeant majors who's now a GS9, just maxing and relaxing. I don't need to be a 13. I'm good right here where I'm doing, getting my check, but young buck. And one thing they have always told me is their only regret is that they kept putting the job first and they missed a lot of that kid time with their own kids and relationships. And so a lot of them were talking me out of it. Once they found out I had my 20-year letter, a lot of them who knew me well enough were like, nah, bro, hey, you can go and call it quits. Your body's still good. And I understand where they're coming from because it's just like what you're saying, what I'm saying. Yes. So I'm very happy. This last year has been amazing.
Yes.
Dude, I still miss it, though. I mean, you're going to have them withdrawals, too. I'm wishing that on you.
I don't know about that because there's no looking back. But even when you talk about putting the Army first, the military first, I mean, it is an honor. But I will tell you, as a veteran and as a Black woman, as a mom, as once upon a time a wife, as the eldest sibling, the list goes on. I just forgot about myself. And so as I started to go into this new chapter of my life, I did go to therapy. I was encouraged to go, and I'm very happy I did. But I'll tell you one thing. In those sessions, it really made me, I had to look into myself. And I remember the woman was phenomenal, and she was asking me like simple questions, and I couldn't answer them. She was like, Driece, what do you like to do for fun? And I was like, and she said, you cannot say working out and traveling. It's something that you can do like every day. She said, one, you have to work out because that's part of your job and fitness in general. What do you like to do every day? And I was like as a hobby, as a break. And I was like, I had to think about it. I was like, nothing. She said, when's the last time you felt like happy and had a smile and laugh? And I was like, and she says, like, there's moments where those will come when you're traveling with your family. But she said, you have to be able to capture joy throughout the day. And I had to really think about what things brought me joy. And I had to learn to put time aside for that.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Nope.
And one of the examples she gave me was, have you ever seen a professional CEO or somebody, you look at Google or whatever, and they play the guitar on the weekends, they play in the rock band or run marathons or, so those hobbies are extraordinarily important for you to have balance. And I think, especially with us, sometimes we're grinding so much, we just get lost. And so, during this time, I was really able to find myself, and you start looking back, you're like, well, dang, I'm pretty cool, I've done some cool stuff. I like having fun. I got some good friends. My family is great. Let's take a knee. Whatever is happening at work, more than likely you'll still be there tomorrow. So
no, and it's a problem for a lot of people. I was always that soldier that I ended up with all that use or lose. Oh, because I didn't take that time. I didn't take that time to enjoy myself. I always thought the 3 days and the 4 days was enough for me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't take time off. I know, hey, I ain't really traveling. I'm a middle child, but besides my older sister, the young sister don't even talk to us anymore. So I was like, I ain't got no family to visit. So, I'm here for the week. I'm here for the weekend. I'm here for the holiday break. Driece, you need me to go ahead and take a shift? You got that staff duty. Right. You want me to knock something out for like I could do that. And nah, you ain't gotta pay me no money. You ain't gotta pay me no money. Okay, fine, I'll take your $50. But so that was always me. And I had to step back and realize I wish I would have done a better thing like that. Like I would have thought to find someone to talk to, because I found that late. I wish I had that earlier, and I found it late. But I think I'm happy that I did find that, because I had to find it.
Yeah, because I mean, definitely, I encourage anyone. Sometimes you can't talk to your girlfriends or because they know you too well, and sometimes you just need that third party perspective, and that's definitely okay. And that's definitely okay. So it's not necessarily, a bad thing.
Driece, I want to take it back before we go forward. It's high school. It's your senior year. Maybe you was brown bagging it because old Colonel, I don't know what your dad's right. He might have been listening, but the old Colonel was like, "Hey, we ain't paying for that. We in Northern Virginia. That food, that lunch stuff costs too much. You're gonna brown bag it." But let's say you got your tray, you coming out. What table was you sitting at senior year?
Whew. Well, let me see. Senior year was a rough year.
Oh,
it was an interesting year. I got a couple of times. Like if I tell you some of the things I did, you would not believe that I was here today. So trying to fit in and maybe things that were outside my character. Matter of fact, one of the things that was the apex of my senior year was I threw a party. So my parents, so growing up, it was me. I'm the oldest. My sister, she's the middle, and then I have a younger brother, right?
Uh-huh.
So my parents, I think I had to be 16 or 17 at this time. My parents said, "Hey, Driece, we're going to go out of town for the weekend. Y'all will be okay." And I'm like, "All right, cool. I got this, because they just up the street." So they leave on that Friday, and I have a bright idea. I'm going to have a party in the basement. So I call my friends, my sister and my brother are in the house, right? I call my friends, all kind of people coming up in the house, right? Friday night, right? And then all of a sudden, guess who walk up in the house?
I hope it was a cousin. I hope it wasn't your parents.
It was my parents.
Oh no. Oh no.
They missed their flight.
Oh no.
So my mom walks in the house and she start like yelling, just like black mamas do.
Yes.
So everybody ran out, including me.
Where are you gonna go, Driece? Where are you gonna go?
No, that wasn't important at that time. Right. So I actually ended up staying over my girlfriend's house for a couple of days, but eventually I had to go home. And I just remember, like my mom, my mom was truly the disciplinarian, like when it came to stuff. But my dad, his face and disappointment would like just hurt your heart.
Yeah.
And so I remember walking in the door, and they were just so disappointed. They were like, "You put your sister and your brother at risk, and you had strangers." I remember my dad kept saying there was a cockroach in the basement. And I was like, "A cockroach? Why he getting mad about a cockroach?" Right. And years later, it dawned on me what that was. Right. This is how naive I was.
I think that's how you hold it. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Never indulged.
I didn't know what you were talking about. And so just a disappointment, in my senior year. And I think this had to be, I'm going to say, maybe the fall of my senior year.
Yeah.
And so, they were giving me the cold shoulder, disappointment. And, I'm trying to make my way back in their good graces, And the thing is, I've always been a good athlete and good student, but I'm kind of like, if I take care of business, y'all should leave me alone. So my grades and everything were fine. And, I did tell my parents I wanted to go in the military, and my dad was enlisted. And so he was like, "No, Driece, you have good grades. You should try ROTC scholarship." So he was like, "Fill this packet out." And I did it. I'm like, whatever, I'm just trying to make them happy, whatever. Right. Well, I ended up getting a 4-year scholarship, and I could go to, at that time I could pick the school that I wanted to go to that would accept me. And so that's what I did. I was originally going to go to Howard. But my parents were like, "You got to stay home because they don't do room and board." So I ended up choosing Norfolk State. I definitely wanted to go to HBCU. And, that is that. But I still remember when the letter came in, they were so full of jubilation and excitement. But I was just like, man, I didn't really understand what it meant,
Yeah.
I was still kind of hurt, and I was even disappointed in myself because I was able to be influenced so easily, and I wanted to fit in so badly.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I think it takes those moments to push us into who we became now. It's funny. Yeah, my mom. I got more spankings by my mom. I didn't want my dad to light me up.
Right.
But I think the worst moment I ever did, I got caught stealing in Kmart while I was with my mom. And my dad at that time was a deputy sheriff. And I remember to this day, it wasn't about anything else. I ultimately did not get spanked by him because I remember that. But the words that he said, it was like, man, if they would have brought you down there, can you imagine how embarrassed I would have been? They would have laughed me under the table.
That hurt, don't it?
Yeah, because I could just see them literally under the table.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, hey, Washington, that's your son, right? That's your son right there. Like that's what hurt.
Or even thinking about like something could have happened to my brother and sister, right?
Yeah.
And so, so it did hurt. And, I was a teenager and, but yes, that's what you do. I'm glad I didn't turn out worse.
No, yes. If what you and I did is the worst of it all, well, that's why we turned out all right. We turned out all right because some people get that taste and they can't let it go, and they turned out a lot worse than us. So
yeah, I know. So that was that, and the worst part of it all.
What's that?
My parents had bought me a car, and they were going to give it to me when they got back. They took that car back.
Gosh, what? So when did you finally get? Did they get you one later?
No. I already had a car. I had a Dodge Sundance.
I remember that.
But the thing is, it was leaking oil, so I used to have to put oil in it like every other day.
I had to do that.
And then in order for the cassette tape to come out, you had to turn the engine off, and then it popped out. But, right. So I mean, it was clearly, going downhill quickly.
Yes.
So yes, my parents ended up, they were going to buy me another car because that car was, it was getting rough, but they ended up taking the car back.
That's it, man. Can we all laugh and make fun of you right now? Because that was a big mistake. You lost out on a new car.
I made up for it.
Okay.
They had to pay for college. I've done well, so I made up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you definitely learned the lesson. Look how you turned out. Golly.
I tried. I made up for it. You
definitely did. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so you said you were a good athlete. What was you doing in high school? Was you doing any sports? What you doing?
Absolutely. I ran track. I was a cheerleader. Those were my two sports, but I did step team stuff if that count. But I did run track. I was very good.
Yeah,
I was a regional champion. I did the 4x1 meters. I did the triple jump, which was my best event, which was one of my best events.
Wait. You got hops?
I got hops. My name was up on the high school board for a little bit.
Oh, wait, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Hops.
So the triple jump, it was my best event.
So as a regional champ, you made it to states in Virginia. For those who don't know, y'all check the records. Don't make me drop names on y'all, but we got some athletes in VA. So if you can make it to states, you're doing your thing.
Right.
The highest I ever made it was regionals in track, regionals in wrestling, all in Virginia. But no, I never made it to states. That would have been great.
Triple jump, my event. I was first leg in the 4x1. You
got them blocks quick.
I was moving.
No, you're not wrong with that. That's cool. All right. So there came a point where you said, I am going to college. You get to Norfolk State. What did you decide to major in when you got there?
I cannot remember. I think I left it open at first because I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
What is it, like general studies? Can you do that?
Yep.
I started with general studies because I really wanted to understand. Now, the crazy thing is I have always told my parents my whole life I wanted to be a doctor. My whole life.
Oh.
My whole life, right. so I get to Norfolk State and I get an interest into finance, and so I actually end up majoring in finance. But I do ask myself, why didn't I do medical school? I think it just, my focus was in a weird place at that time in my
I get it.
space. Yeah.
No, at that time, there were a lot of things that we all had to learn when it comes to, I was the first in my family to go to college. So I think that's another reason why I was kind of mediocre, because I didn't apply myself. I've never really applied myself when it comes to that. And well, my kids, they got to suffer for that now, because I'm making sure they apply themselves now. And I think that's what makes us all who we are. But, I always like to say, you need people with 2.5s like mine. So those people with them straight A's and cum laude, all the magnas, it looks better. Because if we all cum laude, magna cum laude, it don't mean nothing, right?
I mean, I do speak with my son all the time about education, right? And I differentiate, like when we're studying or we're going over his work, I am very deliberate about differentiation between academic effort and intelligence, and also somebody that just has a good memory. Because there's been times where, my son has like questioned work and he was like, but mom, that's not true, or why doesn't it work like this? And I said, well, Gabe, I said, you're absolutely right. I said, but here's how the world works. I said, you need to know what the answer is for the test, right? So you can progress. That don't mean that's the actual answer. You need to know. He was like, thanks, mom. And so we always have a conversation about that. I said, I want you, I'm telling you how to think. Some people are going to tell you what to think, right? I want you to question everything, don't believe everything you read, like check it and explore and have experiences. And so, we have that conversation, and actually, and I said, be yourself. And so he actually just got accepted into the gifted program last week.
Congrats, mama. Congrats, mama.
And I think like a lot of times people differentiate the two. Like, who's to say that if you're good at math and science, you're intelligent? Who set that benchmark? Aren't there other things, that you can learn that make you intelligent? Who has decided that that's the benchmark of intelligence, right? And so, I mean, you look at people like Amanda Gordon, she's considered gifted, and she can tell you herself, I think, don't quote me, I might be wrong, I think she did say she was dyslexic, but she did have a talent with her words, Yeah, she was gifted with her words, So, I mean, and those are the type of conversations I have with my son, about intelligence. It looks different.
I like where you're going there. You're making me feel a little bit better about myself, because there are certain things that I am really good at that I don't even have to try at. And people are like, man, how you make that so easy? I wish I would have met you a little earlier, Driece, and I could have been able to explain it to him as well. I'm kind of gifted at this. That would have been the best way, because it's if you're just judging me off of the GPA. And here's the other thing. I always have perfect attendance. Like, I like going to class. I pay attention in class. What happens is, after class, your boy ain't doing the homework. I get off at the bus stop. I got to drop my book bag, and then somebody got a basketball, got a football, somebody got a race, I got my skateboard. That's what I did. And then when I get home, man, I'm bedding it down. I got to get them clothes tight for the next day. But that's how I did it. So now you get in class, and if you want to nickel and dime me, go and give me a pop quiz about last night's homework. Well, then now you got me, because I don't have the homework, and then I not doing well on the pop quiz because I didn't read last night, and that's how they get you. But that doesn't mean I was dumb. It just means I didn't apply myself.
Effort versus being gifted. I mean, if you look at some of the most successful and brightest people, whether it's Albert Einstein, let's look, Bill Jobs, Amazon, Bezos. A lot of those folks didn't graduate from college.
This is true. This is true. You're right about that. No,
yeah. And so, I really am very conscientious about, I try not to look at people's accolades as much as their sole source of credibility. I always try to look at a person's character and look at them holistically.
Yeah.
I worked for a leader, and she used to always say, we want leaders who know how to think, not what to think. And what she meant by that is that she didn't need someone to regurgitate, regulations and policies. And a lot of times you become very successful if you can memorize that stuff. You can pass the test.
Yes.
You can speak intelligently or about it by regurgitating. But are you really putting thought and curiosity behind the things you do?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. I want to ask you a few last questions here. Man, that time has flown, but I love that. That means I had some fun, and I could tell our listeners are too. They made it this far. They tuned back in. They might have stopped when the house did some things, but they still with us. So it sounds like in your time in the military, you've probably traveled the world. Where's a place that you want to go that you haven't been yet? I got you, Driece. You're a homegirl. You from VA? I'm going to just write you a check because I got that Jeff Bezos money. I'm going to just write you a check. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about how much I'm giving you. Just know everything you want to do is about to happen. Girl, what you going to do?
I would actually want to go to Fiji. And here's the reason why. So one of my assignments, I was in Egypt. I was director at a visitor center for the Multinational Force and Observers. It's a peacekeeping organization, similar to NATO, but not NATO. So in this organization, you had militaries from all across the world. You had Colombia and Uruguay. Fiji was there. You had Finland, Netherlands. One of my admins was Fijian. They really invited me into their culture of brotherhood and sisterhood and love. It was just absolutely amazing. And I went to that assignment, I want to say 2018 to 2016. I still keep in contact with those individuals, the Fijians, today. They still send me notes. And I've even had a couple of emails by other service members who's had to go to Fiji, and they may have ran into my admin person, and they're like, hey, they told me to send you this email and this picture. So the love and the positivity and the brotherhood and all of it, it was just so beautiful to see how close they were. I remember when I was over in Egypt, there was a really bad hurricane in Fiji. And actually, I believe a few service members, Fijian Army members, had lost some families or lost their house. You could see their whole organization just like come together. They were praying and they were raising money and comforting them. It was very beautiful. You would think it would be normal human behavior, but I believe that sometimes we've lost that empathy and care and concern that people need to continue to go on. That is one place I would love to go visit.
Wow, you talked me into it.
Yeah, I used to daydream. Like sometimes I have these daydreams, and I was like, one day I'm going to be the U.S. ambassador to Fiji. I don't know how that's going to happen. But
let's make that happen. It's just some of the things that you've already said could put you at the top of the list. Like I said, we're not looking at accolades. Like we talking about that when the rubber meets the road, the application of it, and you having an understanding of how they get down with the get down. Like you already understand the culture. Let's start there. That's what
my first question was. You know what my very first question was to my admin?
No,
do
what?
They really make Fiji water over there? And the next day, he was like, yes, he actually brought me a case of water.
No, hey, depending on where you deploy that, somebody bring you a case of water. I think you got to marry them because they make you feel very. Right. That's a thing.
Good water. That's the good water.
Oh, you ever spend time in Kuwait or Iraq? Yeah. Have you ever seen people have that run on the low sodium water, and you try to find, hey, there's a pallet over. You know what I'm talking about. You get that case.
I struggled drinking Gatorade ever since then.
I
struggle. Like every time I even smell it, I'm like warm Gatorade. Because you just want something different to drink. I can barely do it. It's hard for that to not be nostalgic for me.
Yeah. No, I get that. I want to finish. I got a couple more. Here's one that I always like to ask. I believe in 6 degrees of separation. I want to know who's the most interesting person that you know, and what will you do to help me get them on this podcast? It's not somebody that's famous. I don't care if they're rich, unless that's what makes them interesting. But there's got to be somebody that you're like, man, that's the one right there. Like, if I get some free time, I would love to hang out. Like, who is that? And it allows us to learn something about you.
I was going to say my sister, My sister.
Tell me more.
Huh?
Tell me more.
My sister is phenomenal. Everything she touched turns to gold. She's extraordinary. She's talented. Her kids are like so smart and doing great things. And my sister is she's amazing person. She's been doing pageants, plus size pageants, and she's a great speaker. And she's just one of those people that bring the energy. Like, you can't, it migrates to her. So I mean, when people meet us, a lot of times they can't believe we're even related half the time. I'm a square, apparently.
What I don't understand is, I think you think you're an introvert. So then just help me out then. So do you consider yourself just an MVP? You just rise to the moment. You know that I need a certain thing on this pod. So right now you're just rising to the moment to match, because I feel like you're matching the energy. Look, I'm 158 episodes in here on season 1. I've come across some people that I've had to carry across the finish line. That is not you.
Well, I will tell you, I'm not an introvert that doesn't want to talk or spend alone. I'm an introvert that values these intimate moments. Now, granted, this is going to go out to, a large audience, but it's just me and you talking, you know? Okay. And so my relationships like that, I'm very empathetic, I have a high emotional intelligence, for me, like these one-on-one engagements or close small group engagement, those are where I thrive the most, and I get my energy because I like that exchange and dialogue. It's very hard to have a meaningful exchange and dialogue when you have big groups. So so even with me, I will say that I have a hard time doing small talk. Or if we're in a meeting and like people are just like throwing conjecture out there, to me, that's a little bothersome because I think it's a waste. So if the conversation isn't meaningful, I'm ready to move on, And I will say that is probably the introverted side of me. I'm not like a super, I have a small group of friends. I really value my relationships one-on-one. And even when I was an instructor, I think when I was an instructor at Fort Meade, I taught public affairs. I think I had about, I want to say maybe 15 people in my class. And it was a relatively small classroom. And I remember someone came in to observe me and they were like, "Are you looking at everybody's face during your class?" I was like, "Yes, because I need to make sure that they're receiving my information." So if someone's raising an eyebrow or looking disinterested, I'll kind of be like, "Hey, are you sure you're understanding? We can explore this more." And so that's a gift that I have, when it comes to, communication, but I'm just not, I've never been like a large group. I need to go to the party, and I've never been that type of person.
Hey, what else you teach? Because I'm working on an MBA right now, and you're the type of teacher I need, because sometimes I don't get it, and I need that extra. I'm glad. Like, a lot of people ask me, would I have gone to a different school? I got accepted to other schools, and I'm saying, nah, I went where I needed to go because I need that good teacher-student ratio. I need to be able to utilize office hours. I need that to make sure I get it.
A lot of people need it. And, even I am I like to read. So I am a reading learner. Yeah. I'm also a visual learner. You use visual. And also I'm auditory too, But I recognize that everybody's not like that. For example, I work with a gentleman, I can explain a concept, but he does not understand it until I put it on paper. So a lot of times I have to pair my conversation with, paper or PowerPoint, and I respect that, about him. And I understand everybody doesn't learn the same way. So when I taught, I always made sure that people were able to receive the information in a way that they understood. So I don't teach anymore. I don't teach. That was an assignment, but I do want to teach because it was definitely held a special place in my heart. I really, that was something I really enjoyed doing.
Okay, so these would be the last two questions.
Okay.
Last three questions, because that second part is, so what you gonna do to help me get your sister? You'll put in a word, you'll be like, hey, I got this guy, and we did a great pod. Hopefully you'll say that. Maybe you hated this, but you made it through.
She will happily do it.
So, okay, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you for that.
She is like, her personality is phenomenal. I just cannot say enough. I will say that maybe if she was in my shoes, she would probably be like a 3-star general by now, just because her energy is so magnetic. I'm the one that was always doing the things I was supposed to do. Rachel just puts a glitter, and she's just wonderful.
Okay, now I'm excited. I think the listeners are excited too. I don't want to tell y'all what episode that'll be. I'm just make y'all follow and hang on. But I'm gonna get it. It sounds like we could book her. So I want everybody to stay focused.
She actually has a pageant coming up next weekend.
Yeah.
So in Sumter, South Carolina. She actually moved to South Carolina with my parents when they retired.
Oh.
Yeah, so she's down there. So she has a pageant coming up on the 27th.
Wow. Well, not only we got to get that one on video. That one can't be audio. I mean, we got a beauty queen. We got a beauty queen.
Yeah.
We gotta get that one on video. We got a beauty queen. That's my tease, y'all. I'll get y'all. We've had a beauty queen. Matter of fact, she's a Delta. She's right up the road from you. She's over in.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, she went to Virginia State.
Where did you grow up in Virginia? We never talked about that.
Oh, Richmond.
That's right. Okay.
And I did live down in the 7 cities. I lived in Norfolk. I lived in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
But I claim Richmond because I spent the most time in Virginia there, and I graduated from high school there.
Okay.
So that's why. All right. So then we're gonna finish up with we're gonna just do this final question here. I know that there are a lot of times in life we get to the end of our time and we say, man, I wish I woulda, coulda. I want to know, so far in life, is there anything that you look back on your life? We still have a long way to go. Now that I've met you, here's the threat. I hope I can continue to engage with you. You seem like a really awesome person. So I hope you live to be 90, whatever you want to be, 190, whatever, how long you want to stay on this earth. But up until this point, what would you say is a woulda, coulda, shoulda that you have?
I would say that even though I really believe that everything happens for a reason, you know, and that things are, your steps are ordered. But one thing that I've learned, in my young age is you have to learn to trust yourself and listen to your instinct. Right. And I know I'm not the only one like this, but a lot of times my instinct may be saying one thing and I'm looking for something that is factual to confirm it. And when the factual thing doesn't happen, I kind of push through that feeling. And that a lot of times that didn't go well,
Yeah.
I do think in facts, but even though your heart and your gut are saying something's not right, or maybe you should do this or this. And so that is one thing that I will say to anybody, that you have to learn to trust yourself, that your instincts are there for a reason, listen to yourself, don't doubt yourself. And the crazy thing is I listen to my instincts when it comes to other people. And when it comes to helping other people do a good job, but I couldn't take my own advice because it's like I didn't trust myself. I didn't want to believe the things that I was feeling. But as I've matured, I've started doing that more. And I definitely can say that my life has become more fulfilled.
That's the perfect ending. Thank you very much, Driece. This was awesome. I enjoyed you. I got to bring you back. I do some things. I've already done a fantastic mom episode. I've done an episode on kind of the cost of being a woman. Did an episode with that. I think we need to do another series of that. But I've got a couple little choice items like that I would love to reach out to you and maybe do at a later date.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed this session. You're a cool dude, and I appreciate your flexibility, but absolutely, any time I have an opportunity to share my experiences, I do believe learning sometimes it's better to learn from other people's experiences than your own mistakes. So you can prevent it. So I'm very happy to impart, any wisdom, that I've learned in my, young age as I transition to a new chapter in my life, which I'm looking forward to. So
young bucks, if you listen, she's saying she will give you the backdoor knowledge. You ain't even got to go through it. She says she'll pass it along to you. So we gonna be able to pull from the OG triple fat OG. And Driece, this is the stuff that we all need, because I think if people are listening, those that are from a different generation, in our generation, or above our generation, it's all about walking in another person's shoes and just gaining that knowledge. There's experiential knowledge that's out there that others can pass along that they've amassed. So so thank you for that. Thank you, listeners. We're gonna drop some social media in the description here. If some people would like to follow you, Driece, how could they stay in contact if you've got a little social media network out there?
Yeah, I'm Driece's _pieces on Instagram. So DRIECE _PIECES. Great.
That's going to be fun for us. Like, follow. Let's blow her up. Let's blow her up. Let's do that. Pass this along to a friend. Thank you for listening, everyone. Driece, thank you for coming in today.
All right. No, thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Man, this is great. Have a great rest of the